The Serving Up Discipleship podcast is to help our audience understand the sacred work of service missionaries and why service missions are spiritually transformative and fulfilling. This podcast is produced under the direction of a senior service missionary couple, social media advisors.
All right, welcome everybody back to another episode of Serving Up Discipleship. I'm Elder Price, and I will be your host today. And of course, Elder Lewis, our co-host. Awesome. Thanks for hopping on. And then today we've got a wonderful guest, Elder Haws. Welcome. Thanks for taking the time to hop on with us. If you could just real quick introduce yourself so that everyone knows who you are and what you're doing.
So I'm Elder Haws. I serve in the Manti district. I'm a service missionary in Spring City, and I was on a proselyting mission for 4 months in Auckland, New Zealand, and then I got reassigned in April, and now I'm on a service mission.
It's awesome. Sounds like fun. Wonderful. Thank you so much for hopping on. We always appreciate those taking their time to hop on with us. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So something we like to ask every service missionary, just because we like to kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek into different missionaries' lives. We just kind of want to know what your day-to-day schedule is as a service missionary.
So in the morning, I usually wake up at about 6:30. Lately, I've been taking my siblings to school. So I usually do that from about 7:30 to 8:30. And then I usually finish getting ready for the day after that. And then I go to my service sites, usually around 9:30. And then I'm usually there at my service site till around 3:30. And then I come home. A lot of days I like to study for a few minutes after I get home. I'm a little more loose with my schedule. I have a lot of what you would call agency time during the evening. I purposely leave that open so I can do a lot of different service opportunities and just sort of unwind a little bit. And then I usually try to go to bed around 10:30. So yeah, that's pretty much my day.
So what exactly, like what assignments do you serve at? Is there, I don't know what is up in Manti. Is there there's a food pantry, is that right? Or Bishop Storehouse? Is that some places you serve at?
Yeah, so on Mondays and Wednesdays, I serve at the Pioneer Park in Etham. It's just behind the Maverick. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I serve at the food bank in Mount Pleasant. And then on Thursday and Friday mornings, I serve at the Head Start preschool in Mount Pleasant as well. I help those kids learn how to read.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I enjoy it.
That sounds like so much fun. Not gonna lie, that's awesome. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The Manti Temple is almost finished. Is that correct? The reconstructive on it.
As far as I know, it should be done sometime next year, probably sometime in the fall.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool though. That'll be exciting when that opens up. So awesome. Sounds like you got a fun schedule. A lot of assignments there. A lot of good assignments. I think that'd be so fun to work at a Head Start for that. Help them read. So
Definitely.
Well, awesome. Elder Haws, another question that we have that we love is we're switching up the agenda here a little bit, but we want to know what your favorite thing is about the service mission. What's your favorite part about
it? Honestly, my favorite part, and this is in contrast to the teaching mission, is I feel like I get a lot more opportunities to serve. Because when I was on my proselyting mission in New Zealand, I really learned that service is the way to people's hearts. And feel like I've been able to make a lot of friends. Of course, I haven't been able to teach anyone, but I've had a lot of people tell me that my example of serving means a lot to them.
I love that. Yeah, serving, charity, pure love of Christ, right? I love it.
For sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Definitely. This is a question that I think we got this from someone who sent us an email.
I believe so. Yes. Yep.
And so we kind of added it to our regular stuff. So people, if you guys have questions that you want us to ask, go ahead and send us an email at what is that email again?
Servingupdiscipleship@gmail.com.
There you go. So the question is, what is something that you did that before your mission that you were glad that you did that helps on your mission?
Before my mission, I wasn't the best disciple. I had a lot of habits that, unfortunately, some of them I still do have. An example was that I would spend a lot of time scrolling through social media, specifically Instagram. I remember before my mission, sometimes I would be in my bed till like 9 a.m. just scrolling through reels on Instagram. So when I started Home MTC, I really tried to lay down some safeguards for myself. And I made the commitment that I just wasn't going to use my phone while I was in bed. And ever since I've done that, my ability to serve and focus has gone up exponentially.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. That goes right into like goal setting too, right? Just goal setting and achieving those goals to help you better serve. And that's wonderful. We always love hearing that. One of the biggest reasons why we ask that question is for those the youth that are about to go on missions, and some of the advice that we can give them to help them be more prepared to serve missions of any sort. And so thank you for giving that advice. That really will help people. So thank you. We love this question too. We love them all. We've mentioned this before, but this is a good one, and we're gonna do some cool stuff with this question specifically. So stay tuned for that. But we want to know specifically for you, what motivates you? What motivates you to be a missionary?
That's a hard question. I would say a lot of things motivate me. But if I had to think of one specifically, it would probably be the personal growth that I've experienced on the mission. Because 2 years, that's a long time in the moment, but when you're like in the future, when you look back on your life, 2 years is like a blink of an eye. And yet 2 years, that's a time, or that's a great amount of time to spend like developing new habits and overall growing closer to God. And for me, being a more productive part of my family, the community, learning how to work hard, stuff like that. Of course, there's a lot of spiritual things that motivate me too, like my love for the Savior and for the people I serve, but more than anything, and I'm going to share a personal example of that real quick. Before my mission, I had a pretty bad stutter. I had done a lot of things to combat it and to help the stutter sort of go away. But it really wasn't until I started my mission that being out and talking to people and, all that stuff, it just, I don't know. I guess I've been blessed to have my tongue loosed. I think of Moses when he was called by God to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. I can't quote any scripture specifically, but I've often understood the story that Moses told God that he was slow of speech and that the people wouldn't listen to him, but God told him, right, that he would make Aaron a spokesman for him. Anyways, I see myself a lot in Moses. The only difference being God didn't give me a spokesman. I feel like, loosed my tongue, and I'm so grateful for that. And because of that personal miracle, that's one of the things that motivates me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that story because you're right. You're right, because this is, back when Moses was given a task that big for him, and it was a huge thing, right? I mean, he was slow speech. He was really worried about it. He wanted to lead him, and it reminds me back of Nephi, right? I mean, the Lord's not going to give a commandment save He has a way for you to accomplish it. And so the fact that you've been able to witness that personal miracle is miraculous. That's for sure. That's awesome. That's wonderful.
Is it time?
I think it is. I think it's
Okay.
time.
Okay. So we have this segment. It's an OG segment, something that we've done since the very beginning. It's our question of the week. And this is something that all three of us will answer, Elder Haws. So don't feel too pressured to be the only one answering this one. But our question this week is, can service missionaries go on vacation? And Elder Haws, we'll have you answer that one first, and then myself and the Price will answer as well.
As far as I know, we can go on vacation. I haven't gone anywhere far, but my family's been all around and stuff ever since I got back. So that's been cool.
Yeah. I mean, this past summer I went to Texas, which is a solid, I want to say, at least 12 to 16-hour drive from where I'm at. So the main thing that I've understood with vacations is that you have to just make sure that you still find opportunities to serve while you're out. And I don't know if this is like something that's everywhere, but when you do want to go on vacation, you still wear the name tag. So I still wore my name tag wherever I went. But I mean, yeah, you just gotta talk to your leaders about it. You got anything to add, Other Price?
No, not really. I like everything that's been shared. It's sort of a simple question, but it can become more complicated if we wanted it to. But basically, yeah, the main things are right. We let our service mission leaders know, take care of any of the assignments and things that we need to get subs for. Specifically, the main one would be the temple. If we are serving and have shifts in the temple, we need to make sure those are covered. And other than that, you just let all of your assignment operators or supervisors know that you're not going to be there these specific days. Make sure it's cleared with them. And then you're good to go for that set period of time. But usually I was looking for the standards because it says in there too, it talks about even when you're away, which you're allowed to, but you can work with your stake president and more specifically now your mission leaders to still be able to have a spiritual time while even on vacation. And so I like what you said, that we can still look for opportunities to serve. And one of those ways is to wear the tag, right? And show that you're a disciple of Jesus Christ. So
absolutely. Sorry. I've had plenty of times where I'm out just doing anything, like taking my car in the shop, and I'll have my tag on and I'll be asked, about what we as service missionaries do, and it's been cool to experience that.
It's pretty neat. There are some really cool experiences that come from wearing the tag a lot. Yeah, what were you saying?
I had an experience with that recently. I came back from vacation and stopped for gas at a Sam's Club, had 10-minute conversation with someone about gospel and invited them to read the Book of Mormon. So you never know what wearing the name tag, even on vacation, can do for you.
True. That is true.
So I hope that answers the question for everyone watching or listening to, though, because there's a lot of things that can be a little confusing with rules for service missionaries. So
And if we don't know the answer, we'll look it up and figure it out and then get it back. So don't worry. And if you do have another question, once again, just let us know. servingupdiscipleship@gmail.com. We would love to have that question be on the next question of the week or something, or we'll just add it to the agenda like we did before. So awesome. I think that properly answers that question. So we'll go ahead and go to this next question. And this is, we love to do a topic for each of these videos. And the topic that we want to talk about today was service and kind of the impact it's had on your life, as well as others. So the first question we wanted to ask is, how has service played an important role in your life as a missionary?
Well, I think in a lot of ways I've become more aware of the needs of others. A specific example would be the food bank that I serve at. I had no idea how many people struggled to get their food, and just like, even though they are struggling to get their food, there are so many people who are so kind, and they're so grateful and appreciative. And it's just been cool to see that and to experience that. It's really touched me, honestly.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna be honest. Service is like my favorite topic, and I mean, I'm a service missionary. You gotta love service, right? That's what we do. That's
I agree.
who we are and what we do. So I love this topic. There's so many different experiences we can go on and on about service, and it's just it's a beautiful thing. So
Definitely. Then the next one, still kind of continuing on this theme. How have you seen others grow because of service, and how have you seen yourself grow through service?
Well, I have some siblings who haven't considered missions before, and just a few months ago, one of my sisters, she told me that she was thinking about a service mission in the future, which was really cool to me. And I took it as maybe she could see my example. Even though I don't feel like an example most of the time, I was hopeful that maybe she could see it. And the way it's changed me, like I said before, it's made me more attuned to the needs of others, but also I feel like a lot of my service sites, I've chosen service sites that kind of go along with my interests and talents. For example, I have a interest of learning other languages, especially Spanish. And so I've had an opportunity to, by interacting with the people at my service sites, I've had an opportunity to communicate with them in Spanish a lot, which I enjoy very much.
yeah, that's super cool. That's why I love service missions too. Kind of stepping away from the service topic for a minute, but the fact that like our schedules are tailored to our skills and our abilities and almost the things that we want to learn or to do and to grow in, right? And so the fact that you're able to serve, in that capacity to continue to learn Spanish and stuff, that's pretty sweet. And that's something that's helped me too, right? I was out and called to Atlanta, Georgia, Spanish speaking, so I wanted to continue Spanish when I got to the service mission. And miraculously, I got put on the only shift in the temple that has a Spanish night every month. So I got to work with Spanish speakers all the time and do the ordinances in Spanish. And that was one of the coolest blessings for me too, because I got to continue to learn, to grow, and going back to service and to serve, right? You got to serve those people in their language, which is such a huge blessing.
That's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, wonderful. It's been great. If I can, Elder Lewis and Elder Haws, I want to throw a quick curveball just for fun.
What? Why?
Just because I feel like it. Just because I feel like it. Elder Haws, I want to know. I don't know. I just feel like this. Is there an experience that you would be willing to share that has come from service? Just something that's touched you or something that's helped you in your testimony because of service?
I mean, there's been a lot of experiences, but maybe I can think of one.
No, I'm like totally putting you on the spot right now, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Just let me think for a second. I would say that. So, what kind of experience are you looking for exactly? Like one that touched me?
yeah, just something that was kind of just something that touched you or helped you grow or something that pertained to service. Maybe like a service assignment or service project you did that helped you to grow or understand service more or something like that.
Yeah, I had. Now that I'm thinking about it, a few months ago, there was this lady. She came into the food bank to get food, and she needed help putting the food in her car because she had a prosthetic of some kind. I think it was on her leg, so it was hard for her to move around and stuff. And I know usually service missionaries aren't allowed to hug and do all that, but this lady, she hugged me after, and it just sort of completely caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting it. And I've thought about it ever since. And yeah, it was really cool.
That's wonderful. I could honestly listen to service stories all day. To be completely honest. They're some of the most powerful and some of the most influential messages you could ever hear. So thank you so much for sharing that. Sorry to kind of put you on the spot there. I have so many experiences and I love to hear other people's experiences with service and how much it's affected their life.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely. I think we just got a couple more questions unless Elder Price wants to throw more curveballs at us.
I could throw more curveballs if we want, but I'm gonna refrain this time. So
Um, uh, so this next question is, um, what has been probably the hardest or one of the hardest things about your mission that you've overcome?
Other than my stutter, it's probably been just being able to let the Lord guide me. There's been a few things, like when I came home from my proselyting mission. I don't know if Elder Price experienced this too, but I kind of had a backlash towards all the rules because I sort of felt like they were holding me back. And there were some rules I just thought were silly, like on the teaching mission, like having to be with your companion 24/7, even when you were in your apartment and stuff. I guess it wasn't 24/7, but it was practically all the time. Just when I came home, I sort of, this is me being completely honest, I kind of just wanted to come home, do my service sites, and not really interact with any of the other missionaries in my district. But as time has went on, I've grown to love not only my district, but all service missionaries in general. It was hard for me to see at first because at first I wasn't sure what a service mission would be like. And I was still kind of in that mindset that if I wasn't on a proselyting mission, then I wasn't serving a real mission. But it's like over these past 6 months or so that I've been home, I've taken a complete 180. And I even sometimes wish I was assigned to a service mission from the beginning. And that's been cool. And I've been able to, I felt my heart softened to being more involved in following the standards more diligently.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the biggest one of the hardest things in life is to let God prevail. I think that's always kind of one of the most difficult that we have to do, especially as missionaries, right? And especially in our scenarios, because all three of us were originally called proselyting, and for one reason or another had to transfer, right? So we had to do that process of completely going in almost blind, because I didn't know anything about a service mission. I don't know if any of you did before you even joined it, right? So we were going in blind, we're letting the Lord lead, and that was definitely one of the most difficult times of my life when I was trying to figure out what the Lord wanted for me. And so, a lot of people, they don't, I wonder if they're missing the point there with how important service missions really are and how much we really do. Right. And I loved how you mentioned that, that you almost wish that they just called you onto a service mission before. And I completely agree with that. The amount of the growth that I've seen in myself is amazing, but not just that, it's the growth of my district, the growth of the missionaries, each individually throughout the zone. Like it's been incredible. And there's been so much impact in my life and in their life as well. And so it's just great. Definitely where the Lord needs me and wants me. And I hope that everyone feels that way now as well as they've progressed in the service mission. So, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, though, Elder Haws. I appreciate that. And once again, before we get to our final question for you, we just want to extend our gratitude and say thanks for hopping on with us and taking the time to be interviewed and have random pop questions and catch you off guard and stuff. But yeah, you did wonderful. So thank you so much.
For sure. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous. This is my first podcast like ever.
Yeah, no worries. Well, this will be great. And the last thing that we have for you today, we just want you to finish out by telling us your testimony of missions and of service missions.
Honestly, my testimony comes from the growth I've experienced more than anything, having my speech impediment reversed specifically to the point where I can handle it in everyday life. And I know that my challenges, I could not overcome them by myself. I tried for so long before the mission, but I have seen the hand of the Lord in my life, and I've seen how He's made me an instrument in His hands. He's loosed my tongue, and He's allowed me so many opportunities to serve and to learn and to grow. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And I will always remember this time of my life in the future. And I want to testify that whether you were originally assigned to a service mission or you were transferred to one for any reason, the service mission is absolutely just as important as a proselyting mission. You are putting your time and effort into what the Lord has called you to do. You might not be harvesting the wheat, so to speak, the same way the proselyting missionaries are, but you are where the Lord wants you to be. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Powerful testimony. Thank you so much. Really.
Thank you.
Well, awesome. Thank you once again for coming on, and Thanks everyone for hopefully viewing or listening to this. And as always, let's serve up some discipleship. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for taking the time to see or hear this podcast. Your hosts were Elder Lewis and Elder Price. Your editor is me, Elder Gibby. If you want to see clips from the show or other service mission related content, please look for the Hands of the Lord Facebook page. If you want to ask your questions about service missionaries, email us at servingupdiscipleship@gmail.com. Thanks again for thinking of us, and we'll see you next time.